respond like here in South Korea and, of course, the United States.
Matt Rivers for us there in Seoul. Matt, thank you. The news of the Dallas shooting may have become the focus for Mr. Obama, as we mentioned, but at that NATO summit in Poland, leaders are discussing topics like Russia and the impact of Brexit on the NATO alliance. For more, our Nick Robertson is covering it for us. He joins me now from Warsaw, and I was interested to know what David Cameron is saying about his country's allegiance to NATO at these confusing times, to say the least, with the Brexit, Nick.
Yeah, well, Britain is a large financial contributor towards NATO. About a quarter of NATO's financial commitment comes from Britain. Britain, one of the first of the 28 of the NATO alliance countries to contribute what's now required 2% of GDP towards defense spending, 20% of that going on equipment, advanced equipment, if you will, rather than just spending it all on beefing up troop numbers. So Britain has a significant commitment. British Prime Minister David Cameron has reaffirmed that commitment. There have been commitments reconfirmed all around between the EU and Britain to work together positively, openly, transparently as the Brexit is negotiated, when Britain actually triggers that, but also between NATO and the European Union to work more closely together on defence issues and political issues as well, also between the United States and the European Union as well. You know, everyone here is trying to present a picture of unity and solidarity on a number of fronts. In the south, on the sort of the challenge of ISIS, and ISIS trying to sort of infiltrate through the migrants that are coming across the Mediterranean, either from the Aegean, from Syria, or from North Africa. So focus on NATO working with the European Union on how to tackle that, but also the focus on the eastern borders with Russia and the sense that Russia is building up forces there, is reinforcing key military installations along the length of that border, and also its annexation of Crimea and influence coming across the border into Ukraine as well. That all the concern here. So the essence is there is a presented face of unity, but nevertheless there is a disparity of views over how best to tackle that Russian aggression. You hear some German politicians, some others, Italians you may hear as well, that express perhaps NATO is being too, if you will, sort of presenting too much of a military front. Its escalation, its training of forces this summer in the east of Europe, these exercises that it was performing are perhaps not the right message to send to Russia at this time. But nevertheless, the dominant view is that it has to be a strong military signal to Russia that NATO is ready to defend any of its 28 members. And of course, it's the Baltic states there that worry the most, Natalie.
Yes, Nick, and the other issue, of course, is the confusion over having Russia in the mix there in the Syrian war. This is certainly a new day.
Yeah, it changes the dynamic in a way. I mean, you had the tension, obviously, that escalated several months ago when Turkey shot down a Russian fighter jet as it approached and came into Turkey's airspace, Turkish officials said, which really put NATO, all NATO nations, at odds with Russia. Then Turkey is rebuilding and rekindling its relationship with Russia. But what you're seeing, or what NATO sees Russia doing in Syria right now, is sort of bolstering its combined missile defense systems, air, sea and land missile defense systems, right there in the south of along NATO's border, the same way that it is in Kaliningrad, in the Baltics, in the middle of the Baltic states, in the north. And so that raises the spectre of concern about Russia even further, Natalie.
Nick Robertson covering it for us there in Poland. Nick, thank you as always. We had a little video of David Cameron, Barack Obama, and a very close discussion there. Maybe we can read their lips and figure out what they were talking about later. Thank you, Nick. Well, we're going to turn now to a storm that has been deadly. Ferocious winds, flooding, massive waves, all accompanied a typhoon as it struck southern Taiwan early Friday morning. Now it's headed towards southeast China, but as a much weaker storm. Derek Van Dam, though, is here to tell us more about it. Derek.
You know, Natalie, the worst of the storm certainly over with, but not before leaving scenes like this. Check out the moment the eye wall reached southern Taiwan, local time Friday morning about 6:30, and you can see just lawn ornaments and chairs and property just being strewn about the landscape, a lot of felled trees in the roadways and down power lines. It interrupted public transportation, canceling international and domestic flights in and out of Taiwan. Now take a look at this image, and the result of that wind was tossing motorcycles and vehicles like toys, thanks to winds in excess of 150 miles per hour, locally 240 kilometers per hour. Now, this is a visible satellite loop, and look just how well defined that eye was. Again, this is about 24 hours ago, just before it made landfall into southern sections of Taiwan as a super typhoon. But remember, Taiwan is an extremely mountainous area. In fact, it's got the highest condensed area of mountains, over 3,000 meters in the world. So that basically just took that storm, broke it apart, and this is what's left. A very unorganized area of circulation, 65-kilometer-per-hour sustained winds. That's actually dropped just within the past 15 or 20 minutes from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Nonetheless, the threat going forward will be the heavy rainfall and the potential for flooding and landslides across the Fujian province into southeastern China.
Welcome back to our viewers here in the United States and around the world. Our special coverage live in Dallas, Texas, of the targeted police shootings that played out on these streets a day after it all happened, and we are learning more about this act of domestic terror that killed 5 police officers and wounded 7 on Thursday. The mayor of Dallas saying that the gunman, 25-year-old Micah Xavier Johnson, that he acted alone. Officials say that he was armed with at least 2 weapons when he opened fire on police as protesters marched peacefully through these streets. During a standoff that went on for hours, Johnson told police negotiators that he was infuriated by the deaths of African-American men at the hands of police officers and that he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. When negotiations failed, police used a bomb delivered by a robot to kill him. Keep in mind, we've seen protests that began this week after 2 African-American men were killed by police officers in the states of Louisiana and Minnesota. The fiancé of Philando Castile captured those moments after his shooting on Wednesday in the suburb of St. Paul, Minnesota, on a live Facebook video post that many people saw on social media. She says that a police officer shot Castile after pulling him over for a broken taillight and when he reached for his wallet after being asked for identification. Castile's mother, Valerie, says she just does not understand why this happened.
I did everything right as a parent. I made sure my kids understood the difference in being law-abiding and that the police were there to help. I never once in my life would have thought that my son would actually be killed by the persons that are supposed to protect and serve him.
Police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, shot Alton Sterling several times on Tuesday after a homeless man called 911. A source says the man kept asking Sterling for money, and Sterling brandished his gun. The 37-year-old was a father. The mother of one of his sons spoke with my colleague, Don Lemon.
It's unbearable pain, and especially being a mother with a teenage son. And it's like, you know, what's the next thing that you tell him besides, I love you, and everything is going to be okay. We have to stay together. We have to pray together. And honestly, that's what's really been keeping me and Cameron focused, with the help of my family as well.
Protesters have been chanting Black Lives Matter, but also condemning the attack that took the lives of 5 officers. Our Randy Kay has more on the moment that began with a simple hashtag.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
What started with a hashtag has turned into a rallying cry.
Black Lives Matter!
The goal? To shine a light on racial injustice.
This is the generation that wants to dismantle structural racism. This is the generation that wants to get at the core of it, that wants to get at the systemic problem.
The Black Lives Matter movement was born after the shooting death of Florida teen Trayvon Martin, when his killer, neighborhood watch volunteer George Zimmerman, was cleared of any wrongdoing.
We, the jury, find George Zimmerman not guilty.
After Trayvon, the deaths of African Americans at the hands of police gave rise to more voices of protest. There was Eric Garner in New York.
Eric Garner, Michael Brown. Shut it down, shut it down.
And Michael Brown in Ferguson, where the movement really began to take hold.
The people, the local neighborhoods in Ferguson were willing to call attention to the issues, right? They were willing to put their lives on the line for Mike Brown and for their own future.
Then 12-year-old Tamir Rice, who only had a pellet gun, was killed by police in Cleveland.
The young man pulled a weapon out, and that's when the officer fired.
Activists say the list goes on. Tony Robinson, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, Freddie Gray. In most incidents, the officers were not indicted, fueling the anger and amping up the message.
They need to take care of our country. If the police is supposed to protect us, then they need to make sure that they ensure that.
There are now dozens of Black Lives Matter chapters across the United States. And while some believe the movement has actually incited violence and worsened race relations, its founders disagree.
The reality is this is a peaceful human rights movement led by incredibly courageous Black people. I think we're demanding justice and freedom for our people.
Also, the response on Capitol Hill. Members of the Black Congressional Caucus, they held a press conference on Friday reacting to the police shootings here in Dallas. When U.S. House Democrat Mark Veazey spoke, he became emotional, voicing his concerns about his 10-year-old son's potential interactions with police as he gets older.
And yesterday we had a press event to talk about what happened in Louisiana and to talk about what happened in Minnesota. I got to tell you, I have a 10-year-old son.
Take your time. Take your time.
He's more like his mom. He's looks like both of us, but he's more like his mom. And right now, he's a cute 5th grader. He's going into the 5th grade. He's a cute 5th grader. But I worry about him when he gets older, when he gets into high school. What if he's out with some friends and he smarts off the wrong way?
A father concerned about his son. It's understandable. It is a real conversation that is being had in many homes in America. We'll be back live from Dallas, Texas in just a moment. Welcome back. The United States, residents certainly throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex all mourning the loss of 5 officers killed in the line of duty. This happened just less than a mile from where we're standing right here at the Dallas Police headquarters in this memorial that continues to grow and grow. Authorities say that 25-year-old Micah Xavier Johnson, that he was the only shooter. They say that he was upset by the killings of African-American men at the hands of officers. During a standoff that went on for several hours, he continued shooting at police until they used an explosive to kill him. Brendan Hester was at that protest in Dallas Thursday night and saw the first police officer being gunned down. He caught that scene on video that was obtained exclusively by CNN, and we'll show you that image here. Ran into a parking garage to take cover, and the shots just kept coming.
What I've seen can never really just be taken out of my mind. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. Like, when the shots first start coming, I seen literally an officer fall. I guess I don't know if he was the first officer to fall, but he fell right there. And that's when I ran and tried to take cover, but I guess I ran the wrong way because nobody really knew where the shots were coming from when they first start coming. So, I mean, I just ran like anybody else would, and by that time, my friends had all ran every which way, like everybody just kind of scattered, and I ended up, I guess, running to the wrong place.
And Natalie, you know, you and I were on set just the other day as all of this played out, and that very difficult moment where we learned that indeed it was not 4 but 5 officers who were killed in the line of duty. But to be here and, you know, to hear from people about what they saw, what they heard, and how they ran for their lives, you know, trying to get away as these bullets went flying, it's, you know, it's something that you don't forget.
Just listening to it on the air last night, I've never heard gunfire like that loud and rapid. It came so rapidly, and I can't imagine the people that were there right in front of it. My goodness. Thank you, George. Well, anger boils over in the U.S. over police shootings and race relations. We'll look back at a violent week as a divided nation. The United States struggles to unite.